Hi, Nancy. This is Chuck, the president.
Hi, how are you? Sorry for the
Okay.
confusion.
All right.
I
We're going
actually
to
had you
start.
down for tomorrow night.
Oh, all right. We're going to start by showing you a quick run through of all the images that are in the competition. You don't have to say anything at this point. There are 90 images, so we'll go through them fairly quickly. And then the next time we go through, we'll ask you for your comments and scores. We'll explain that in a few minutes.
Okay.
Okay, let's share our screen. Okay, can everybody see the first image?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, let's go through them now.
Marlene, can you mute everybody, please?
Yes, hold on. Chuck, hold on a minute, please.
It started late because the judge had the wrong date. Just started now. Wrong date.
Okay, that was the first run through. We're gonna now go through a second time more slowly. And Nancy, we're gonna ask you for your comments. You can talk about anything, composition, technical stuff, the story behind the image, whatever. You have approximately a half a minute to a minute for each image.
A minute would be an hour and a half.
And then give a score of A, B, or C. A is superior, B is average, and C needs more work.
Okay.
So Let's get started.
Okay, I would give this a B. I think the composition is well done. Rule of thirds here with the horizon higher up in the frame. My eye is jumping from the dock to the background. So I'm able to move around nicely within the frame, but I would give it a B. Do you have titles on these or you don't share
No.
titles? Okay,
No titles at this time.
okay. Again, I think composition, you're giving space for the bird to move further into the frame. I might have cropped it even a little tighter to just make it bolder. Color is handled nicely. Could use just a tad more saturation for my taste, but some people like it to be a little more normal. I would give it a B. I think this is a very strong composition. My eye is drawn immediately to the walker on the no walk sign. And the fact that the diagonal is so strong with the shadow, it really works well with the walker. I just kind of feel like it's dragging us right to it. And the height cropping is handled well. I like the dark from, or to stop the walker from walking out of the frame. I would give this an A. Well, we have an overall pattern here that's nicely colored. I'm not really finding a lot of interest in this type of picture. I think that you could give us some more information, something to kind of land on instead of just wandering around the frame. The colors are nice, but you know, obviously nothing is sharp. I would give it a C. There's a lot of tension in this. We're drawn to both figures, so the eye is just now bouncing back and forth. It's a little comical, actually. More documentary in style. I would give it a C. Again, kind of documentary in style. A little humorous. My eye is really circling around with those pink cones. I'm not sure that you need the background information. I do want to go and read Broadway and 79th Street. I would give it a C. This is pretty monochromatic. I might have been inclined to convert this to a black and white and really make those lighter colored branches pop out more. I do like the fact that you've got this branch coming across the top of the frame to kind of hold us in. Maybe a little vignetting might have helped as well. I would give it a C. Certainly depth of field is carrying this piece. I would probably crop some more off of the right-hand side. I do like that the brightness is coming in from the left. We can see the sun hitting a wall or something in the background there and is showing up on the face. But I do like the really nice use of depth of field here with the smoke in the background. I might even crop in a little bit on the top to make this more of a square picture and really feature the hand even more when you crop in a little bit more on it. I would give this a B. I'm not so sure if we need that tote bag that's on the lap of this person. It would make the Sputnik sweetheart pop even more. I'd probably crop this to a square as well. Color is working okay. But compositionally, I'm kind of bouncing from the brightness of the tote bag to the book because I want to read the titles, and then up and out of the frame because the background is so bright. So here again, probably some vignetting and certainly some more cropping would be helpful. I would give this a C. This is kind of busy for my taste. And again, it's a monochromatic piece. Maybe in black and white, it would hold together better. I do like all of the roots and how they help the eye move around within the frame. But I'm not really sure where I'm supposed to land here because the three groups of roots sort of all have the same power. So my eye is just kind of wandering around. I would give this a C. I think you could have worked more with this subject and come up with something that was more dramatic. I think this is cropped really well and seen well. There's like blocks of information here that really help balance each other out. I would give this an A. It's well seen and handled. I like the curve. And I think it's a pretty strong composition. I'm not so sure we need everything that's on the right-hand side. This looks like Cuba to me. I think maybe it could be cropped in a little more interesting and maybe even more abstract way if you cropped it right where that vertical pipe is there, that white pipe that's in the lower right-hand corner. And then the swoop becomes even more dramatic. I love the colors. Colors look great. For my taste, I'd probably get rid of the bird. It's those funny little details. It just looks like a dirt speck, you know, the sky up there. I would give this a B. Interesting patterns. But the brightest area is right smack in the middle, and that the bright dirt is what's pulling my eye. with two such amazing animals, I would think that having the heads, or just cropping to the heads would have been a whole lot more interesting. I would give this a C. I think you could have done a lot more with this subject matter. Kind of fun. The two outfits kind of complement each other in terms of color. And probably the gal with the legs crossed is creating more interest, more movement for the eye, perhaps. I would give it a C. Nice color, good contrast. The booth really kind of pops, or whatever that is there. I like the use of kind of complementary colors here with the pinky orange and the blue. It helps to really make this more dramatic, and the time of day was good. I would give this a B. Well, I'm really a fan of the sunset and having it right smack in the middle of the page. And what seems to be your focal point doesn't look too terribly sharp, but I think maybe some additional cropping could help this and get the sun out of the middle and make the focal point stand out better. Maybe give that silhouette a little more black so it has more contrast. I would give it a C. Well, I think if you're going to give me symmetry, you need to work a little bit more on trimming this on the right side. It looks pretty washed out to me, so an increase in contrast and maybe even an increase in saturation would help this a lot. I think a C. This looks like a pretty interesting place. I like the figure. I also like that little bit of blue sky that's there. It goes with the clothing. I would have liked to have seen the face of this child. Looks like a child to me. And maybe zero in just on that. Crop off those white legs on the top. It could have been a really strong piece with those sunglasses being like a real focal point for this, to just move a little bit to the right and keep shooting down this way. I like that you saw this, but I think you could have worked more with it in shooting as well as in cropping. So let's go with a C. I think I have the same shot. Certainly an interesting place. I might have waited until that person put their arms down so they're not shooting a picture and they just become a figure in the landscape, but I think the composition is very strong and I like that it's black and white. seems to fit the subject matter here. It might even have been more interesting to clone the person out completely and use those strong vertical stone out in the water as your focal point. But I do like the way you handled it here. I would give this a B. This is an interesting abstract, even though we're looking at stuff we can kind of identify. It presents itself as a strong abstract. I'm not sure that we need that spoon. That's really bringing the reality back into this piece. I like that you saw this, or that you set this up somehow. I think it's a very strong composition. I would give this an A. I'm not sure where I'm supposed to be looking here because there's so many interesting things going on in the background. If you really wanted us to look at his hands and what he's doing there, I would have moved in closer and shot down on the hands, maybe just got the top of the hat so that we could see that he's a farmer with a well-worn hat. We don't even really need to see his face because I think the picture is really all about his hands and rolling tobacco, I'm assuming. I would give this a C. I think you could have done much more with this on site. Lots of strong diagonals here. Textures, interesting shapes, curves. I like that you saw this and that you also straightened out your verticals. I think it's nicely handled in black and white. Some good contrast. I would give this an A. Interesting shadow patterns happening here. Some items certainly that are so simple that we're all familiar with, but your cropping is very precise. To just include that little bit of darkness on the top and the bottom, might have just given it a little more space on the left to just let that shadow really have a space to kind of extend itself into. But I think it's very precisely handled as far as tones and brightness values. I would give this an A. I think it's very nicely seen and set up. Okay, not exactly sure what this is. Could be a painting on a wall. Something superimposed here. I think the lighting is pretty interesting. Your composition. I guess what bothers me is the fact that your subject is not sharp. I don't care about the background or the clothing, but I think the instrument could have popped really a lot more interestingly along with the face, given that you've got some nice light on the face. I would give this a C. This looks a little washed out to me. I do like your cropping. That red barn or whatever it is right in the middle is a little too red for my taste. But I do like the motion that I seem to be feeling with moving back and forth. I think it needs more contrast. Maybe it needs more blacks in the final presentation. I would give it a B. This is a fun piece. I do like the use of shadows here. Those diagonals just drag me right in, especially to your main character. The figure seems to be a little flat. I'm sure you opened that up with your shadow slider, but maybe just a hair too much. And if you want me to stay with just that person, we needed to crop this for more drama. I would give it a C. Strong composition, interesting that these little figures are so small, gives us the feeling of them flying, but also when we see the mountains, their smallness actually makes more sense. Kind of a story behind this. You know, when a viewer comes to your images, they bring their own baggage. And I use baggage as just a general term. I don't mean it as being a negative. It's, you know, my life experience as the viewer is what I bring to your piece. And I like the openness of the sky, the bigness of the sky here, and the figures in silhouette really work. I would give this an A. Nicely seen. This to me is more of a document of an architectural detail than it is an art piece, if you will. I like the shadows on the steps. I probably would have zeroed in on that and just dealt with that. Or put somebody up on those steps to give us a focal point. That's always the beauty of shooting with somebody else. You can have them become your focal point. I would give this a C. Interesting little creature here. I don't know that we need the whole body. That if you come in tighter, that face would just pop. I would probably be inclined to clone out some of those light colored branches, especially the one that's coming over the foot and the one that's coming up close to the face. And then crop this into a vertical. And then you'd have a really bold image of this little guy. Because there's some nice contrast happening in here. But we don't need the whole body. you know. I would give this a C. This has a really nice mood to it. There's something very soft and gentle about fog imagery. The only thing that bothers me is that out of focus tree on the left, and mostly because it's so bright compared to other things that are happening. I would just really darken that down a lot so that it doesn't look so out of focus and doesn't pull my eye there. I like it as, you know, as this like framing, if you will. It doesn't bother me. You could cut it off and use the tree next to it as bookends with the one on the right. I think I would have played with that more in the finishing to see how I felt about that tree on the left. But I do like the path. I like the contrast between all of the cool colors in the background and the warmth of the path. It really helps pull me into the frame. I would give it a B. Well, this is certainly not a very happy photograph. It has a feeling of a DMV photo, you know, we're just bam, right at these people. I'm not sure exactly what else you could do with this to, there's not really a lot you could do to perk it up. The lack of communication here is deafening. I think, you know, it's an interesting observation, and I think I would give you points for that. I'd maybe give this a B. This ends up being an interesting abstract piece. Again, you know, there's not very much color to it, so it probably could have gone easily to black and white. But I like that you saw this and you composed this in an interesting way. This is the kind of thing that people just walk by and totally miss, but you found an abstract composition here. I would give it a B. I think this works nicely as a composition, especially with the use of depth of field here, or the blurring of the background. Looks a little washed out. I would give it a B. I think good action here with space for these people to move into. Kind of interesting that the baby's face is obscured and a lot of the profile of the parents are also obscured. You stop the action nicely, and I think it's an interesting composition. You know, again, you know, maybe there's another story that you could come up with here, but probably mostly because you can't really identify the people, you know, even the little people over on the left. They're all just there, sort of anonymous travelers. I would give it a B. What's not to like about this? Composition is great. We've got space to walk into interesting, unique subject matter. Rule of thirds. Highlight is just a little blown, but that could be the contrast on my monitor too. So we'll give you the benefit of the doubt there. I would give this an A. I'd love to make that photo myself. Kind of interesting tension happening here between the two figures. I love the S curve you have going on with the lady with the red dress. I'm not crazy about the sculpture. That's the only thing that really bothers me about this. I probably would have cloned it out. And I don't think you need this row of stones across the bottom. It's like an extra line that's running parallel to the edge, and I don't think that we need that. I would give it a B. Again, looks like another story. With all of these figures in the background. I might have shot him more on an angle. I'm not so happy with this DMV pose. I think if you had moved to the left and given us maybe some more information on the left side of the screen, and if he was still looking at you, it would be more interesting to get a more angled view of him. I would give this a B. Kind of a casual shot. Nice interaction between two people. Maybe there's a story here if we could see more of what the guy was actually doing with his hands. Maybe getting in closer. And doing something like over the shoulder or getting the guy in the frame who's got the blue shirt, but featuring one or the other of these people. And I think certainly the guy sitting down is doing something that might be more interesting. Again, I think you could have worked this scene better and not be so afraid of the people. Because if this is Cuba, you can ask them to do just about anything and they will comply. You know, rather than shooting with a telephoto, you know, really good street stuff with a wide angle and moving in close so you can see some of the surroundings is always a good way to work street photography. Not be so standoffish. I would give this a C. Great face. I actually like that we don't see any background. We just want to go right to that face. And the pattern in the hooded thing that he's got, the scarf, just adds a little more interest. a little more texture. I would give this an A. I think this is working really nicely. Looks like a fun shot. A little washed out. There's a little something wrong with the contrast here. The red is boosted and the face is a little lacking in contrast. Again, the straight on view is not the best. I think, you know, a 3/4 view, make them turn, look at you. I do like the plain background here again. But I think you could have shot some more of this and finished it better and gotten something a little more interesting. I usually don't like this kind of candid imagery with smiling faces. It tends to bring the image into the snapshot mode, which I think you're above that. And I would have worked this a little more at shooting. So I would give this a C. Nice, strong, abstracted, architectural. Could use just a tweak more contrast. But I like that you carefully looked at the line of the building on the left with that diagonal from the sculpture or whatever that Sputnik thing is in the middle there. I think this is very nicely seen and worked while you're shooting. Just could use a tweak more contrast for a little more bold, I think. I would give this an A. I think it's really nicely seen. I like the symmetry on this, and I like that you took the time to try to line everything up for yourself. The red is a little overcooked, and I think your blacks could be a little blacker. But I like that you saw this and you moved around, you played with it, you worked it. I'd give this a B. This is a very moving image. And I'm sure you didn't have a lot of time to work here. Takes a little bit to really look at what's happening. But I love the connection between the woman holding the baby and the actual sculptural baby. I could have done without the water bottle, but it is what it is. All of the little pictures and signage in the background creates a nice pattern. We're not necessarily going there. We do read the main Argentina sign and thank you 2022. We do see that. I might be inclined to darken that down a little bit so we're not going there so much, and maybe darken the window as well. So we really zero in on exactly where you want us to look. I would give this a B. I think I'm immediately drawn to the colors here and the balance between the cool colors and the warm colors. I love the way the light is creating all of the shapes and forms of the wall and the door. I like that you saw this. I would give this a B. This is interesting. I have no idea what I'm looking at. It's it kind of forces you to look around and think about what this could be. It looks like glass. It looks like they could be glass vases that are plastic that's reflecting light. And it's abstracted in a way that's kind of interesting. I sort of wish that big white rectangle was not so dominant in the middle. And there was more glass or whatever those things are. I would give it a C.
Okay, Nancy, we're halfway through. Do you think you can speed it up a little bit?
Sure.
Okay, thank you.
Nice composition, but for me, the colors are a little bit off. I do like the fence as a nice diagonal taking us into the tree. I would give it a C. I definitely needed some more information on the cart on the left. It's just too close to the edge there. But I do like the composition. It almost has a painterly kind of feel to it with the fog. I would give it a C. I think, you know, what you were drawn to here is the lights and darks. And then that's what encouraged you to convert it to a black and white. But I'm not real sure where I'm supposed to be looking. The brightest thing in the picture is this vertical on the left. But I think that the shadow of the trees is more interesting. So, you know, maybe cropping out the horizontal line on the top and cropping out the vertical line on the left would push me to look at the glass and the shadows and in a more abstract kind of way. I would give this a C. Interesting reflection. I like that you converted it to black and white. It helps to abstract this even further. So we're not looking at a blue sky or blue water. I'd give this a B. And here's another, you know, either put it in the middle or put it totally out of the middle. I think if you cropped a little bit more off on the left, we would have a nice symmetrical thing happening here that maybe could use a little more contrast to put a little more texture into the cloth. But I like that you saw this, so I would give this a B. Again, this is, you know, another duet documentary kind of piece. all of the colors in the clothing are kind of distracting me from the interaction. And I might have worked this further with coming in on a diagonal, featuring one person more than another person. And in that case, I'd probably try to feature the lady who's gesturing. So I would have moved to the left and zeroed in more on what she's doing and who she is. I would give this a C. Love the depth of field here. The feet are really very cute. I would probably darken the hands in the background just so they're not in competition with the feet, but I think it's very nicely seen and handled. I would give it a B. Not much of a story here. I don't find this to be a very interesting photograph, frankly. I can't get a handle on this person. I'd certainly rather see them from the front. I think it's cropped okay. But it's just kind of flat to me. I would give it a C. Love the verticality of this. Certainly that's what it's all about. The little people are just sort of there as a scale, so give us a sense of scale. I think this is very nicely seen and composed. I would give this an A. Probably the light here is the most interesting thing that's going on. Again, it's not a very interesting photograph. I'm not seeing a strong composition. I think you could have just zeroed in on some of those stalks and forgotten about the background and give me a vertical because your subject matter is so vertical. I would give this a C. Seems to be tipping over to the left a little bit, but I like this composition. The fact that you left in some of the writing so that we could read it. The street pulls me in. We have a nice focal point with the guy with the cane. And the dark building on the right keeps me in the frame. I think this is very nicely seen and captured and has the look of a sketch. I would give this an A. Certainly there's a lot of stories that probably went with this door over its lifetime. I do like the minimal color here. It is helping to add some interest. I'm wondering if it couldn't have been a vertical because your subject is so vertical in the center there. I don't know that we needed the extra information. I would give this a C. I'm always looking for walls with interesting things. The black seems to be dominating the story a whole lot here. I might have cloned a little something into there to break it up a little bit. But I like that you saw this, and the hand on the lower left is pretty interesting. I might have cropped in more to that and gotten less of the black blob in the middle. I would give it a B. I like that you saw this. To me, this whole picture is about him looking at a reflection. So again, I would have worked this more on location. What is he really looking at? Give us more of the reflection. Maybe get down to his level so that all of those legs become more dominant in the background as just posts. I would give this a C. It's very cute, but you could have worked it more. This is really kind of a strange picture, but I like the colors, the turquoise versus the orange, the yellow orange. I don't know that we needed to see the light source in there. It would make it more mysterious if we didn't see the light fixture. And maybe more dark up above. Never like things like that ear touching the edge, takes you right out of the frame. I would give this a C. Great capture, wonderful depth of field. Nice detail. This is an A. And just so you know, I don't like bugs, but that deserves an A. Point of view is very cool here. I would have done less dirt in the foreground, but I like your looking down at all of this and the layers going horizontally of the colors. I think this is an A. Great figure. I like the pose. Might have liked a little less of that rough edge so we could see her right hand. Nice S curve happening here. I would give it a B. Interesting technique. I'm still feeling like I'm missing a focal point that maybe could have darkened the final flower, which to me is over on the right. Just darken those petals that are over the center of that flower would have given me some more contrast to go there. I like the cool and the warm color combination. I would give this a B. Yeah, nice balance of color here with the warm and the cool. I like that you saw this, you know? Some tension happening between the two lampshades. Not even sure that you need the one that's on the left. I kind of like all of the contrast of the water on top of the dark. I would give it a B. Nice composition. I like the swirls. And the fact that it's darker on the top to kind of keep us into the frame. I would give this a B. This is a hoot. Very interesting observation. I mean, there's like a gazillion stories you could come up with here for sure. Just a fun piece. I would give this an A. Kind of goofy, but the contrast of the colors is working. It's almost abstracted in a way. I'd like the position of your sneaker. I would give this a C. I think this is an interesting piece with the camera movement. It needs a little more contrast though to just bring up that brightness value. I would give it a B. I think it's nicely done. Nicely seen, looks a little washed out for my taste. And the greens are overcooked. Depth of field is good. Cropping is good. I would give it a C. This is an interesting action photo. And I don't normally like it when people do like one item in color and the rest in black and white, but with this one, it actually really works. What I don't think we need is all of that foreground. I would clone out that white line and probably crop it pretty close to that white line. Maybe could even crop out the white line because I don't think you need that. I would give this a B. I like that you're thinking beyond the obvious, you know. A lot of interesting textures and curves here. Interesting composition with the way the textures are actually balanced. I would give this an A. This has something going for it in terms of the textures of the background. Other than that, it's kind of blah, really. We've all seen this, been there, done that. But you did find an interesting background to at least show it and simplify the story. I would give this a C. This needs a little more zip in the flowers. You have some nice contrast with the leaves, the little leaves underneath the roses, but the roses themselves are kind of flat. I would give this a C. Nice diagonals. I don't know that you need all of that brightness at the top. Because you want us to look at these figures if they're your focal point. And my eye is being drawn immediately to the sky. So you might want to lighten the area around the figures or just create a little more contrast there so they go more like silhouettes and the background behind them gets a little brighter, like this rock in the foreground. So this rock then would push us to the other rock and get rid of some of the top. I would give this a C. Kind of interesting that everybody's looking at the fish except for your focal point here. I think you need to darken that fish up on the top because it's pulling my eye up there. And darken this guy's phone over there. And then I'm gonna go right to his face without competition happening. I would give this a C. Pretty interesting shapes and lines happening here. You need to take off just a sliver on the left. If you're going to give me symmetry, give me symmetry. I like that you saw this, that you found it. The sky is really working with the building. It's not in competition. So you had a lot of good things happening here for you. I would give this a B. This could use a little more contrast. Maybe a little sharpening on the beak and the food. You know, we're right in the face. We can see the eye is very distinct. But I'd want to see that plane of focus carried down the beak as well. I would give this a C. Kind of washed out a little bit. Well, here we have our sunset. Off center, color's great. I wish that there was somebody walking there or there was a tree, something in the foreground to give it some interest. I would give it a C. Interesting patterns throughout. Created by a fence, I guess. The colors go nicely together. The fact that there's one lone person over there really helps this a lot. I like that you saw this. I would give this an A. I think it's very nicely seen and composed. Okay, well, Melanie needs to have some work done here. Again, the DMV straight on really doesn't do much for me. I don't know that we needed the name tags and all of that stuff. She has an incredibly interesting face that would have been fabulous in black and white, but again, with more of a 3/4 view. So you're on more of an angle with her. I do like that you communicated with her to get her to pose for you. So I would give you a B for that effort. A little too happy here. Comes off as a snapshot. I might have asked him to turn and look at the doll. Again, working the scene, working the people a little bit more instead of just standing there clicking away. He's obviously looking at somebody else who's also photographing him. You need to work the scene. I would give this a C. I think this is an interesting find with the little curves happening. It's like an abstract. It needs even more contrast and maybe some more saturation to just make some things pop a little bit more. I would give this a B. I like the depth of field here. I don't know that we need all of those colors. I probably would have converted this to black and white and give it a little vignetting on the left. I would give this a B. I think it's a beautiful portrait. Some fun stuff happening here. The colors are a little strange, a little too brown where things should be black. The composition, I think, is good. Again, this might have been even more interesting in black and white because I don't think the color here is doing anything to help this. I would give this a B. It's a very strong composition. We've all seen this like 1,000 times a day. I don't think that you're doing anything different with it here to show us something different. Cropping is okay. I don't like the little triangle in the upper left. Just clone the bushes over there. The red jacket is pulling my eye to the person, certainly. But I don't think it's interesting in today's world when everyone is doing this. So I would give this a C. I think this could have used a little more saturation. But I like that you composed it in this way. Probably vignette a little bit on the left to help keep us in the frame. I'll give this a B. Certainly an interesting sky. I might just lighten a little bit where the people are sitting in the foreground there to just make them stand out a little bit more in relation to what's going on in the sky. We'll give this a B. Again, you know, we see this everywhere. I wish there was a whole row of them sitting on the bench, not just two people It's a good composition. I like that you converted it to black and white. But I think you could maybe have worked it more and done more with it. I would give it a C. This is a cool still life. I like the objects that you chose and how you placed them. Might just take a sliver more off of the right side. I would give this an A.
Okay. What brings us to the end of round 2.
I have 17 As.
That's correct. That's
Wait,
what I,
too.
Wait a
I
second.
have 17 As. Chuck?
Ellen?
Yep, 17 As.
Okay,
Can I-
Nancy.
I'm sorry, Chuck.
We
Can I
have
just?
7. Chris?
I'm sorry. I just have a quick question. Number 49, can you confirm whether that image was a B or a C?
49,
Yes,
a B.
thank you.
Okay, Nancy, we have 17 images that you awarded A's to. We're
Right.
gonna ask you to select as many or as few to give honors. No limit, just the ones that you think are really great. Do you want to see
Okay.
them one at a time?
No,
Okay, there are the 17.
okay, and there's no other honors other than that?
Well, you're gonna choose one of the honors as the image of the month.
Got it.
So,
Okay,
all right, number 3, honors or no honors?
well, I'm just gonna give you numbers for honors. Is that okay?
Okay,
Number 20,
all right, wait a sec. Okay,
number 22,
okay,
number 35,
okay,
number 39,
okay,
number 54,
okay,
61,
okay,
and I think we're good.
okay.
Just give me a minute.
We're now gonna show you the honors images
Okay,
and ask you to choose one as the image of the month.
okay.
Well, we haven't given the number for the honors.
What do you mean?
How many honors?
6.
Okay.
This is tough because they're all
Just
so
wait a minute.
different. I'm gonna go, and this would surprise all of the people who know me really well. I'm gonna go with number 61.
Okay,
Because it's a tough one to do and it was done beautifully.
okay.
Wait a minute. Hold on.
We're now going to
So we're gonna do the A's first,
announce the winners. First, the A's.
but just let me. Okay, so number 3.
Crisscrossing by Bill Apple.
He left.
Number 11.
20th Street by Albin Davis.
He was here.
Albin, any comments?
He's not here anymore.
Okay.
Number 23.
Extraordinary by Doris King.
Yes, that's just a still life that I set up in my living room because of the stained glass window, and that's how I got that effect with the
Okay.
Nice.
shadows.
Number 27.
Flying by Natalie Manzino.
This was taken in Chile and Puerto Natales. And the sculpture, it was one of the windiest places I'd ever been. And the sculpture depicts how windy it is there.
Number 41.
Charlotte Building by Puneet Sood.
He isn't here.
Okay.
Number 56.
Latin Quarter by Albin Davis. He's not here.
No.
Number 62.
Pacific Beach 1 by Julie Forenbach.
She was here.
Was here. My audio. Hi. Oh, okay.
Oh, all right, go ahead, Julie.
It's a photograph that I took many, many years ago, looking down into the Pacific Ocean.
Great.
Okay, number 67.
The Night Out by Carlton Johnson.
Yes, this was taken on the west side near the Hudson, 10th Avenue, on Pride night. These people were staying, they're waiting to get inside of a club. And I just happened to be in the area.
Okay.
That's a hoot.
Number
On-
72.
Number 72.
Tangled Swamp by Natalie Manzino.
Hi, that was taken in Lake Placid. And I converted it because it was so busy, I converted it into black and white.
And number 80.
Subway by Alec Rill.
Oh, wait.
Yeah, can you show? Yeah. So that's the Hudson Yards subway station on the 7 Metro, and either it's very lonely or it's very many people. So I waited there about 2 hours because I wanted something a little bit different. So I waited for one person to go down the escalator.
Good shot.
And number 90.
Orange Lanterns on Gold by Julie Wask. Julie?
Here I am. It's an ammonite I have, and I put it on a little canvas I made of with gold encaustic. That's wax paint that's been melted.
Yes. Okay. Now we'll move along to the A's with honors.
Number 20.
Seder Table by Paul Grabanier.
Yeah, we were having a nice Seder, and my wife spilled her glass of water right in front of me and ruined the tablecloth and made this picture for me instead.
It was a happy accident.
Thank you.
Number 22.
Approaching Midnight by Carlton Johnson.
Yes, this really wasn't approaching midnight, but it was caught in the Chelsea area. The light in the window really caught my eye, so I thought I'd make it a good surrounding, with the surrounding buildings.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Outstanding photo.
Number 35.
Dune by Alec Rill.
Yeah, that's the dunes in Morocco in the desert. I was very lucky actually that our jeep got stuck in the middle of the day. It took many hours to get it out, so I was able to wait until that time of day to get this beautiful silhouette picture.
Beautiful,
It is beautiful.
beautiful.
Number 39.
Indian Man by Marlene Schonbrunn.
Right. India, I went to India with Harvey Weinstein a few years back, and the people in India are so welcoming in terms of you taking their photos. So I have many pictures like him.
Harvey Weinstein.
Harvey
So
Stein, you mean,
wonderful.
Marlene?
Harvey Stein,
Harvey
yes.
Stein.
Harvey Stein, sorry. Sorry, Harvey.
Yeah. His gaze is so compelling.
And number 54.
Reflections by Karen Corrigan.
Good evening, everyone. This is the Oculus at the World Trade Center, seen from the side.
Nice.
Very nice.
Congrats.
And the image of the month. Wingman by Sonia Durante.
I took this at the New York Botanical Gardens. They're really hard to photograph, but this guy was a very willing model and stayed put for about 5 minutes.
Wow,
So I had
cool.
plenty of time to get this focused.
Oh, it's
Congratulations,
beautiful.
Sonia. Yeah.
Sonia's gorgeous.
The bill.
Beautiful. Gorgeous.
Okay, everybody. First, I'd like to thank Nancy. We got off to a slow start, but you made it, and good job. So thank you, everybody.